I told you this was going to happen. It's not quite a Keith get the tin moment, I don't think, but it's probably up there. I told you this was going to happen. I told you that he would hang on and hang on. The fury that surrounded the revelations regarding the parties, the carousing, the knees-ups, the suitcases full of booze, the wine fridge, and the sheer scale, the number of actual parties that were being thrown in Downing Street and its environs when we were not allowed to hug our mothers or visit dying relatives or attend nephew and niece's funerals. I told you what was going to happen. I told you his gamble, his calculation would be to keep it at bay for as long as he could until his client journalists and sycophantic supporters could be relied upon to start claiming that it didn't matter. If I was even more self-obsessed than I am already, and if I had a slightly more pliant producer, I would have dug out the clips of me actually predicting. But these are professionals that I work with, and they can't be expected to trawl back over past episodes of the programme, massaging my ego retrospectively. I do plenty of that my own. But I would have played out the clips of me telling you how this was going to play out. They're probably out there. It probably got clipped up at the time, actually. I told you this is what was going to happen. He'll kick it down there. So first of all, deny that it happened. You remember when he denied that it happened? He actually denied there were no parties. Second of all, oh, well, there were some parties, but I definitely didn't go to them. How's he going to get out of that when we've got evidence that he did? Third of all, oh, well, I did go to what you folks might possibly refer to as a party, but I didn't when I attended that party, I didn't realise it was a party. I believed it was a work gathering. So there it is. Stage 1, 2, 3. Number 1, no parties. Number 2, parties, but I didn't go. Number 3, parties, but I did go, but I didn't realise it was a party. Can't even claim it wasn't a party because every other... Good Lord, I nearly used a word there that I'm not allowed to use on the radio. I mean, there's only one word that comes after every other, especially if you were brought up by parents from Yorkshire. So, number 1, no parties. Number 2, well, there were parties, but I didn't go. Number 3, all right, there were parties, and I did go, but I didn't realise it was a party. I can't claim that it wasn't a party because every other beggar realised that it was a party, especially when they were all told to bring a blinking bottle. Where does he go after that, you asked me? And I told you. Well, where he goes after that is just hoping that he can keep it in the long grass for long enough for it not to matter when the guillotine comes down. And you said to me in your thousands, that won't work, James, that won't work. We're too cross, And I said to you, I promise you that's what he'll try to do. I thought it wouldn't work because I thought the guillotine would have fallen by now. I thought the report would have come back. And then, of course, I don't think there's any massive conspiracy in the corridors of power. But who knows these days, frankly, given that Cressida Dick was allowed to hang on to her post despite presiding over an absolute avalanche of appalling conduct by members of her police service. The Sue Gray report, well, first of all, he commissioned someone else. You forget all of this. Are we actually going to be able to get the chronology right? What time is it? 6 minutes after 11. So let's start again. Number 1, there were no parties. Number 2, there were parties, but I didn't go to them. Number 3, there were parties, and I did go to them, but I didn't realise they were parties, even though every other beggar there did. Number 4, I will commission a report into these parties. Number 5, I'm going to have to replace the person conducting the report into these parties because it turns out that the person I appointed to conduct a report into these parties attended at least one of these parties. Number 6, we'll find someone new to conduct a report into these parties. Number 7, the Metropolitan Police have decided... No. Number 1, there weren't any parties. Number 2, there were parties, but I didn't attend any parties. Number 3, there were parties and I did attend the parties, but I didn't realise they were parties, even though every other beggar at the parties realised they were parties. Number 4, I will commission an inquiry into these parties. Number 5, I will now have to replace the person who I commissioned to conduct an inquiry into these parties because it turned out that he attended one of these parties. Number 6, I will now appoint Sue Gray to conduct this inquiry, and we'll get a fairly quick response because number 7, the Metropolitan Police will not be getting involved in this because they don't investigate events retrospectively. Number 8, the Metropolitan Police actually do investigate such events respectively, and therefore they will be investigating these parties, which means that number 7, 8, 9, we can't get the Sue Gray report in its entirety until the police have conducted their inquiries. Number 10, the police are still conducting their inquiries and have now moved from 100 questionnaires to number 11 actually interviewing people. And number 12, here it is. Here's Richard Littlejohn in the Daily Mail and various other members of the client media telling you, oh, it doesn't matter after all. Remember when you were really angry? What? Weeks ago about the fact that you couldn't go to your grandmother's funeral or kiss your mum or visit your dying father in a care home? You remember when you were really angry about that? Well, wind your neck in, Doris, because it doesn't really matter. Calm down, dear, because none of that was important and all of this is just confected by angry Ramonas who can't forgive Boris Johnson for lying to them every single time he opens his mouth. We love being lied to, and you Ramonas should frankly get over the fact that you hated and think it has no place in either British democracy or number 10 Downing Street. So we're there. We're at point 12 with apologies for any points I might have missed on that path from there weren't any parties right through to, yep, there were, and I went to them and I filled my boots and I had a bottle of Prosecco and I did the flipping conga with Nadine blooming Dorries and none of it matters because, Ramonas. We're there. I mean, how big do the brushstrokes have to be? How big a paintbrush do I need for you to see that what I've just described has actually happened in real time in front of your very eyes over the course of the last few weeks? And now the media is full of people claiming, oh, the parties don't matter. The parties don't matter. It's just a vendetta. Lying. Lying and lying again. Doesn't matter. Oh, and there's a war on. There's a war on, so the fact that we've got a completely untrustworthy Prime Minister who is regarded with a mixture of derision and disgust by every other leader in the European Congress, the European Compact, doesn't matter at all. No, what we've got to do is keep the man who's a massive liar and regarded with derision and disgust by all of our major allies. We've got to keep him in post because otherwise it will... I'll tell you what would be really bad, getting rid of the bloke who everybody else thinks is ridiculous. The logic of this is beyond even the most kindergartenish of political grasps. You've got to keep the bloke in place... You've got to keep the bloke in place despite the fact that he lied because there's a war on and all of our potential allies in that war think he's an absolute clown car.